Happened in the 90s.
Brown sugar, how come you taste so good? Oh yeah. Brown sugar, just like I knew you would. I said yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh.
Watch out for the new Pepsi can.
Whoa!
Pepsi, Generation Next.
When I got on, I was like, first of all, OHIO all day. And I had a little bit of that Snoop Dogg wine. I don't know if you tried it, man, but it's called 19 Crimes.
I've seen this. I wanted to buy it just for the bottle, but I haven't had it myself.
And I should have mentioned Snoop Dogg in my argument. So, first I addressed that Ohio shit. It was like, Trevor, I don't know you, but you seem like a nice gentleman. But yeah, that Ohio State hatred, man, that needs to subside. But, being a veteran pothead, I say, like, there are people who can smoke and still be productive.
Yeah.
And I understand that weed isn't for everybody. And like, that was his whole argument as far as like the things that, people do when they're on weed or the things that they don't do when they're on weed. And it's like, don't let a portion of the pothead population speak for all of us, man.
I mean, I just smoked and went and just worked out for an hour and a half. I mean, if that isn't productivity, that isn't
Bingo.
lazy. No, that ain't nothing. I mean, I've been both sides of that argument. But you can overuse it and you can be fucked up and have a good time. But here's the thing. The worst thing that ever happens if you do that is you fall asleep, you eat a little too much, and you laugh a little bit too much. And if those are the most negative of consequences, it isn't a bad thing. And the positives, I mean, Jesus, I don't want to take an hour just going through that, but
a little bit of what you said though, man, like, yeah, there is a such thing as smoking too much. But I was telling those guys that, hey, that's the difference between a veteran pothead who knows what the fuck they're doing and just a grown ass teenager. We smoked for years, Matt, and we kind of get an inkling. Our body tells us when to get off of this ride. The blunt could still be in session, a joint, the bowl. You're like, I'm good, because that's like, oh, my body's telling me, motherfucker, like, can you make out of like what's going on in front of you? Like, yeah, I'm getting to that area, so I need to get off of this roller coaster.
yeah.
But I can't speak for the fucking dumbass who just melts into his couch petting his dog all day, who just like, man, no, man, you can't hang.
But I mean, that might be the beginning times, because you remember those times like way back when it was just all giggles and fucking hanging out, bullshitting in a room together. That's like college weed smoking. But if you're doing that as a 30-year-old, then there's the big ass problem with that. You know what I'm saying?
Bro. Like, how about, like, I have to go out and interact with the world. Maybe we're smoking really good weed. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I can already feel like I'm going to be in Stratus.
But I mean, shit can get squirrely, but that's just a lesson, man. Like, that teaches you to nut up and just be like, take a deep breath, chill nothing's going to happen. You know what I mean? Unless you're like taking dabs all day or something. Then that's like smoking crack for weed. And that I don't want to be a part of. I don't like it. I don't do it. And when I have done it, I didn't care for it. It was just too much. But just weed smoking, it is like, it can get out of hand. And there are people that suck that can't do it. But sometimes, like you and me, I mean, I just feel like, honestly, if you ask me right now, it just helps me to focus and not stress the fuck out all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it does for me. I can smoke some weed and just sit back in a chair and just laugh or watch like a movie, but I don't choose to do that too much. Seems like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun every once in a while, but having a beer is fun every once in a while. But I don't do that shit all the time. So I don't know what that means. I just know it works for me. I wouldn't recommend it to
You,
everybody because not everything is for everybody. So
exactly. Your method works for you. And like Joey even mentioned that like he doesn't like when a weed head is kicking it with a confidant or an associate or whatever who doesn't smoke, and they're just super pushy. There's like the person can be
who
like,
is
oh,
doing that though? If I'm hanging out
there
with
are
somebody that
assholes,
doesn't like smoking weed, I'll be like, that's even better for me because more for me, you know?
but once again, though, you have those immature motherfuckers, irresponsible motherfuckers who will be like, oh, no, you just have to smoke with me. So they'll be like, oh, no,
Oh,
it does something
smoky.
to my body. I don't like the way it makes my body feel. It gives me a headache. No, man, you just need to smoke weed. No, listen to that fucking person. Respect their decision. Like they're telling you, like, this is
Yeah,
my body, and I don't like what happens to my body or my head when I do this thing. So, like, why are you being the typical, like, dare character? Like, no, pussy, smoke with me because I'm cool.
you're gonna enjoy it if you do everything with me. 100%, dude.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a blast.
And I'm here to say for Pothead Nation, there are potheads who don't like that pothead.
Hell yeah. I mean, honestly, it's just a mentality thing because in my 20s, I was more tolerant of all that because I hadn't been around it that much to the point where it annoyed the fuck out of me. But now they're just things that I don't do. I still love weed. I always will. But the things I was doing in my 20s would infuriate me now. And some of the people that we were dealing with would
Oh my
absolutely
God.
infuriate the fuck out of me now. But in terms of my usage, even that's evolved. But that's because I'm an adult. And that's what happens when you get older. You just like figure shit out better. When I was 20, I didn't know what the fuck. I was just like, hammer it. 10-foot bong, let's do it. If I saw that now, I'd be like, nah, I'm good.
Let's smoke in this parked car with the key in the
Yeah,
ignition.
dude, like let me get a machine that just shoots weed smoke out of it like a fucking extinguisher. I mean, let's do that. Let's breathe. I
Yeah.
mean, we were doing some crazy shit, Steve, but we don't do that anymore. But that's what I'm
Fuck
saying.
no.
That kind of the pothead that just stays like that 20-year-old guy who's like a 30-year-old in flannels, like ripping bongs and shit. It's like, okay.
Wow. Dude, what are you trying to do to me, man?
First
Wow,
dab ever.
dude. Got me seeing.
You got to chill out, bro.
Those people exist, man. And fuck those people because, dude, like
You're
you're
making
older.
us look bad.
Like, yes, man. For the people who aren't familiar with weed or how it works, who live off of that fucking reefer madness education,
I don't understand how
You
you
are
could
the
still
reason.
do that though, because I mean, now even if you want to be a naysayer on it, my argument would be one, it's been proven it's medically, it's just like a good medical alternative. Like I had cancer and I could have taken a bunch of pills, but I ate edibles, and I swear to you, Steve, on everything that that shit was better than any medicine my doctor could have given me, and it works in that way. So in that way, 100%, I would argue that. Secondly, there's people making trillions of dollars off of weed that are probably smoking it. And those companies, whether you like legitimate weed and like recreational pot, if you live in a state that has it, whether or not you like it, that shit is gonna take over. And those people are laughing while there's some guy like, weed isn't fucking, it's fucking sucks. It's for losers. It's like, okay, I'm gonna keep racking this money up.
straight
Okay.
up. Because man, this money ain't for losers. And I mentioned Snoop earlier, man. I'm saying this when I called into their show, and I'm drunk off of this pothead's wine. And
Is it
this
good,
pothead,
Steve? Is it good?
it's good and it hits.
Okay.
And it's good quality. It's a good person from my perspective. And like I said, this pothead has his own wine sold in fucking Kroger. So this is a productive pothead.
I mean, who would have thought? Like that guy has a wine, Steve, and he has a show where he cooks with Martha Stewart, where I'm sure that they use that wine to cook some shit.
Straight up, man.
You know what? We talked about how badass Snoop was. I think maybe the last episode, and that's just proof positive right there. He's on the
90s, man. It's going to be a recurring thing here.
Well, Snoop, I haven't had the shit. I'm not a wine drinker. Steve, I'm happy to see you're a classy gentleman that's drinking wine with a lady. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm more of a margarita guy, and I'm sure Snoop loves a margarita. He's a party animal. Yeah. So shout out to Snoop. Shout out to potheads. Shout out to 30-year-old and 40, 50-year-old potheads who are earning their stripes as veterans, Steve, just like you and me. We've served in the fucking marijuana military, and we've earned that general status. I mean, I'll go toe to toe. You and I'll gladly step on the front lines with you, Steve, because I know I got good backup in that regard. So it's good to see Snoop Dogg doing it. I wouldn't have thought like the wine would have been his thing, but he has everything else. He has weed papers. He's got weed.
Exactly. He's got gin and juice.
Snoop, stop. Leave something for the rest of us. God damn. How much money is Snoop worth? How much money is Snoop worth, Steve? I'm looking this up. Fuck all them bullshit.
Not enough.
You're right.
What would this world be like without Snoop? I hate to imagine.
Oh my God, $150 million. Steve.
Somebody fucking lie.
That isn't really. I feel like it says 150 million. I feel like that's small. That's small.
That's small compared to what I thought. I think his
weed output though, he's spending millions off weed, Steve. That monthly weed bill, he's paying for that weed. So you think people are just giving Snoop Dogg free weed?
Dude, he makes money off of weed. He has different like brands of weed and hemp and rolling papers. Like he's multifaceted, man. So 150 million. I think his catalog's worth more than that.
He's hiding some money somewhere. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, 150 million. Then he has like some sort of offshore account, you know, some of that Nino Brown shit where it's just like hidden money. That's got to be the case.
It's fucking Snoop,
or he's been like, does he have a divorce maybe? Because that could have been. No,
he's still with the woman that had his children, the mother of his children.
Lady ENT, whatever it is. Okay.
And dude, I gotta address this, man, since we're recording. Ottis Anderson, I fucking fucked up, bro. Ottis Anderson, who played for the New York Giants, the Super Bowl MVP, he did not kill his son.
Thank God.
The guy who was murdered, who was also a football player, his name is Ottis Anderson Jr. But the Ottis Anderson who didn't kill himself is spelled with 2 T's. And this was a simple thing that I could have corrected before this shit hit air. But I'm just so inclined to create mess. I like mess. And I want to be messy in December. And I apologize to you, Ottis Anderson with 2 T's. You didn't kill your son. If you have a son, continue living your best life and not kill your son like you have been, like going through life, not killing your son.
You're just keep doing that. It. Is he still alive, Steve?
He's still alive. Thank God. But he's not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why the fuck he wasn't. He was a Super Bowl MVP. Like, how many Super Bowl MVPs aren't in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. And notably also, Steve, as you've mentioned previously, not a murderer of his son.
Totally not a murderer. Ottis Anderson with 1 T, his dad was not a Super Bowl MVP, and he should not get any fucking accolades at all.
Yeah, he is not the most valuable player of anything. He deserves nothing. And so wait, that other Ottis Anderson who was dead, his dad killed him?
His dad killed him, and he played football. He I think made it
how
to
many
like,
Otis Andersons are out here killing it like this? I mean, is that?
whoa, man, did you mean to do that?
I did not, Steve, but I
You're
did.
killing. Well, hey, he didn't kill much because I think he got cut from the regular season team. But he's got a Wikipedia entry, and it hit my smartphone. It was an article, so there's some volume of relevance there.
I mean, there's so much going on that you can't be blamed, Steve. I don't hold you to blame for that. That's a very confusing, intriguing situation with a lot of Otis Andersons. I mean, this is almost like that Spider-Man movie that's coming out, but with Otis Anderson.
Yeah, I don't want to be the reason an innocent man goes to prison. Who knows who's going to watch this? You know what I mean? And I don't want to put another man in prison.
Watch that shit and just put it all together, Steve. You son of a bitch.
It's enough brothers in there, man, that are wrongfully locked up, man. And I don't want to be the cause of any of it, man. I'm sorry, Otis Anderson with 2 T's. You didn't murder your son, but you did play for the Giants.
You just murdered the game of football, especially in a Super Bowl, apparently, because you got MVP status.
Yeah.
So killing that, but you did not kill your son. And thank God. I mean, we can only hope that you and your family are doing really good right now. I wish you the best.
But he did play for the Giants, which is kind of close to being that bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a Cowboys fan like yourself, but I'm spiritually turning into a Cowboys fan this season just because my team's so bad. So fuck the Giants and not fuck Otis Anderson because you besmirched his name.
With the 2 T's.
Yeah.
Man. Like you live your life comfortably.
I mean, that's slander, Steve. I might have to jump on Otis Anderson's side with 2 T's and just be like, shame on you, dude. Shame. Hey, you're coming into my pocket now. This is fucked up.
The pressure.
It's fucking Yaksmas season, Steve, and you're fucking up like this, dude.
Dude, yeah.
You're folding like Pittsburgh in any game that they play this season. So I don't like to see that. And but I think you've done your best to just apologize and hopefully avoid any sort of lawsuit or civil suit that you might incur on that, because it is slander, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't think Otis is listening, if I'm going to be honest. I don't think any of them are. A couple of them definitely aren't. One, probably not, because he's living a good life, and one can only hope he gets into the Hall of Fame, but I don't know. Some people have one good game. Like, is David Tyree going to be in the Hall of Fame?
Fuck no.
That's what I'm saying.
But the thing is, though, Otis Anderson was a Pro Bowler, too, and he was, like, kind of a big deal coming into the league.
Like, is Santonio Holmes going to be in the Hall of Fame because he's a part of one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history? I don't know.
No, I mean, he'll be remembered for that. Yeah. But, I mean, there are exceptions because there's a shit ton of Super Bowl MVPs at this point. I'm sure not all of them are in there. Just like the NBA finals. Who's the guy for Golden State? Iguodala. He won MVP coming off the bench. He's probably not going to be in there.
He's in my NBA 2K something MVP. I'll tell you that, because that guy in that game used to be a beast. Him and Kyle Korver, whenever they were on the Sixers together in that game, I used to just hey, Jordan, remember Kyle Korver in the post? You son of a bitch.
Yeah, Korver was a sniper.
I miss Kyle Korver. Where's he at?
Man, I want to say he just retired, man, and he's got a record for threes. I want to say like the longest streak of games making a three, if I'm not mistaken.
Just he was, he looked like he was in a boy band or in like Blink 182 or something,
He had that look. And speaking of boy bands, I want to ask you something before we kick off, man. How much were you into Immature, or did you even know about the group Immature in the 90s?
I mean, they were on like some TV shows, I remember, and that's the one with like there's one dude, like the main dude he went off. What's that guy's name?
Marcus Houston.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but spelled with a Q.
Yeah, exactly. Marquez, isn't it?
Go home, Roger. It's the same guy. Like
Oh, okay.
he had a real life Steven Urkel like situation. Like he played the like lovable loser neighbor kid on TGIF, but in real life, man, the honeys wanted him.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, man, the best song Immature ever did, in my opinion, was Feel the Funk. And it was on the Dangerous Mind soundtrack. They made a video for it, and it was on their album, We Got It. And we were in seventh grade at the time when that song came out, man. Dangerous Minds had just came out. And that was an R&B song that made me feel grown. It had all the junior high schoolers feeling grown. It's just a sexy ass song, man. I'm sure you've heard it. It was,
I'm sure.
It was in heavy rotation on BET Soul and all of that shit back in the day. But it's one of the best R&B songs of the 90s. It's one of the best R&B songs ever, in my opinion.
Wow. Wow.
It's
Immature. I don't know if people saw that coming, Steve, but I mean, everyone remembers it. Also, looking back, I find it weird that they had these little boys just straight singing this sexual ass music, which is kind of, whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is, but they pulled it off. I remember maybe some like leather outfits in a video.
They had that. They had leather outfits, and in Feel the Funk, they had like TLC haircuts, which kind of threw me off. They had
I'm thinking of the song you're talking about, because I'm sure in that video they had leather outfits. Maybe with a
leather
hoodie
outfits
on under it, some shit like that.
A bomber jacket or some shit.
Yeah. So I mean, Immature. Do I remember them? Yes. Was I a fan of them? I can't say that I was, but I think anybody, as a young fat white boy, would I have loved to be a member of Immature, like with women just trying to grope me when I'm singing these amazing R&B songs? Yes. But I never reached that pinnacle, Steve. The bowl cut, the double chin, the titties. It just wasn't a mix. It doesn't look good in a leather outfit, so I get it.
But Matt, you got to listen to the music. You got to let your body flow. Play it smooth and feel the funk now. Feel the funk.
That was on the Dangerous Mind soundtrack?
Yeah, that shit was banging.
Nice,
they had clips of the movie in the video.
I miss that. Don't you miss that whenever you were watching a fucking song from a soundtrack and you got it was like a preview for the movie, Steve.
In a way.
You don't get that. There's no Kiss from a Rose for Spider-Man No Way Home or whatever the fuck that movie's called. Looking forward to it, by the way. I want to see that movie, but yeah. I mean, there's no like video that explains the movie. You know what I'm saying? You don't get that kind of soundtrack song anymore. It's just like a Drake song or a Rick Ross song or some shit.
It was all a part of the presentation. Now it's just like, oh, it's here at your doorstep. Here, it's here.
Yeah. Hey, can you maybe come to a movie theater? No? Okay, whatever. Fuck. All right. How are they still making these gigantic movies? Because if people aren't going to the theater like that, like I'm going to see Spider-Man. That was one of my Christmas gifts. We're seeing it in a theater, but like anything else, I'm not going. Like, there's got to be like such a steep drop off of things that aren't blockbusters now. Like, they're not going to be making indie movies much longer. It seems like, unless it's Netflix.
It's all Dwayne Johnson. The Rock is what's keeping all of this afloat. All of the spillover from his movies that spills off into the independent crowd. Yeah.
You come away from watching a Rock movie and you're like, I just need to watch like fucking John Krasinski just talk about being depressed for an hour and a half. Something,
Or a Jim Jarmusch film. Is that how you Jim Jarmusch? Jarmusch?
Dude, I used to watch I would just buy movies I haven't seen now, dude. There's so much. It's like, I feel like shitty because I have all these options, but it's just like, I'm so hesitant to just invest 2 hours of my time watching anything that's not something I know is going to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like I was more adventurous, Steve. I feel like I had more zest for my film life back then,
Same. Yeah. I'm more prone to watching things I've already seen.
a dozen times.
It's sad. I watched Ninja Turtles the other day. I was like, there's shit out I could watch. And there's new shit I have been sort of getting into, but I don't know, man. I feel like an old man. I feel like my dad watching MASH and shit back in the day. I always used to be like, why is he watching this shit? This is stupid. Now I'm watching The Office. I'm watching fucking the old X-Men cartoon, or, you know, like shit like that, where it's just like, oh, I get it.
But you know what, Matt? We're not just watching 90s stuff, though, because it's our era. We're watching 90s stuff because everybody should be watching this shit.
Yeah, listen up. Listen up.
It's the best.
I mean, you go through, and some of these things we do watch, or like these shows that we're watching, the series, come at them. Come at them, Martin, and see if you come out on top, because it's not going to happen, guys. What are you going to, what? Marlin? A cheap knockoff of Martin?
Well,
I mean, it's just
Marlin,
like,
I heard it was good. I heard it was good.
Steve, great. For a new sitcom, a Netflix sitcom, great. They even cursed in it. It was amazing. But what they did do is just take all of like the backbone of Martin and just make
the structure.
All of it. Even like the Pam Martin relationship, he had some chick he bagged on all the time. It was just like all very obvious. And while it was good, I mean, I love Marlon Wayans no matter what.
Me too.
White chicks. It was just like scared me to watch.
Terry Crews is what made that movie. If it wasn't for him,
Andrew said that the other day. I was like, I thought he got famous from Friday After Next. You know,
I don't know which came first.
I feel like Friday After Next came before that, because I feel like after that he started getting put in everything as that weird like Jack dude in everything.
Because he was in that.
That's what he plays in White Chicks, right?
Yeah, and he's just like goo goo gaga over these chicks, man.
Yeah.
And he was also. He was in that Mike Judge movie too.
Oh, Idiocracy. Yeah, he was the president. Yeah. He basically played Trump as a giant Jack Black. What I think Trump thinks he looks like in his head, basically.
Basically, yeah. Jeez, man. Shout out Mike Judge, man.
Dude, Mike Judge still, I mean, dude, that guy, he's sort of an unsung genius, really. I think people know about him, but he's still writing awesome shit, like that Silicon Valley show that was on HBO. He wrote.
Is it already off?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's done.
Yeah.
That shit was hilarious.
King of the Hill and all of that, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, we could have a Mike Judge episode. This guy is just a fucking hilarious. And plus he was like an actor in sitcoms. If you go through, I think he was in Frasier. So Judge.
Making moves. Well, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Matt G with Happen in the 90s, a show where we talk about things that happen in the 90s. So get out your Gavin Rossdale posters and your Spunko products, because you're coming on down to Happen in the 90s, having a good time. I got lazy this time.
I mean, I liked it, though. It was good. It was good, Steve. Don't hate.
Usually when we do South Park, I try to give the full version. Like, nah, fuck all that.
Nah, we don't got time.
Doing too much.
Steve, we got to dig deep into these apps.
Yeah, we're talking about South Park again, and we're talking about Ren and Stimpy again for Yaksmas. We're talking about probably my favorite Jim Carrey movie ever. Probably.
What?
Dumb and Dumber. Yeah, if it's not, there's a 1A and 1B. If it's not. But we've already talked about the other two blockbusters from this year. Ace Ventura and The Mask, all in 94. And this is the third of the trifecta, man.
Baller alert. This is when he was just started, like they were like, oh, we're just going to pay you whatever you want now.
Yeah, that's literally what happened too. Unprecedented, man.
I gotta say, Steve, I'm gonna just argue the Dumb and Dumber thing though. It's not his best movie, but
well, you got to come up with a better example for it.
Well, Ace Ventura 1 or 2 is better than that, and The Mask. I mean, we could. I feel like maybe The Mask is better. I haven't seen it in a while, but I didn't like Dumb and Dumber instantly. I liked it more when I started smoking pot.
Bro, like this movie is the prime example as to why he's the GOAT of physical comedy, man.
Well, sell me. I'm a jury, dude. I'm a jury of your peers. So when we get into that, I want you to sell me on why this is his best movie. And I'm here.
We're
I'm
gonna
open,
dive.
dude. I'm wide open.
Yeah.
Hey,
Now, man, oh man, yeah, you're gonna get that work today because we're gonna be talking about all things 12-16 in the 90s.
We're so close to Christmas, Steve. It's so close. You even got the lights up.
Yeah, my raggedy ass Big Lot lights. Thank you, Big Lots.
Dude, don't hate on Big Lots, dude. I've got mattresses from Big Lots. I'm not ashamed of it, Steve. I am a proprietor of the Big Lots. And
Hey,
also,
Big Lots was always there.
You want some big ass bags of like chocolate chips? Go to Big Lots, Steve. You can let your inner fat kid out.
Still haven't came around the corner on ingesting anything out of Big Lots. The furniture and little decorations will suffice. Maybe I'll get there at some point. I got a love for you, but at a distance for now. But in 1993, Shannon Doherty, Brenda, is fired from TV series Beverly Hills 90210 for being a bitch.
I was gonna say, wasn't it just because she was problematic, or
she was
a bitch?
Well, yeah, she was a biatch, very difficult to work with, and she even owns up to it now. She said she was young, she was just getting out of her teenage years, and she had a camera in her face 24/7. And to that, Shannon Doherty, I say, so did just about everyone else in the fucking cast. I'm sure they had somewhat of a prima donna attitude too, but she was probably extra with her shit. Like, oh yeah, I was in Heathers with Christian Slater. Bitch, suck my titty. I'm getting Dylan in this storyline, you hoe. And she didn't like Jenny Garth. They actually came to blows. I'd love to be the fly on the wall for that shit.
Yeah, that would have been a great day to work on that set. But I mean,
yeah.
Jason Priestley had cameras all up in his grill, and he wasn't being a bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I honestly don't like Shannon Doherty that much. She was in Mallrats. Didn't care for her in that, but she was in it.
Yeah, she got a bitchy face too.
I just like that we're calling Shannon Doherty out for being a biatch decades later. It's out there, Shannon. Sorry.
Oh man. What you so? But that following year, 1994 on 12/16, Dumb and Dumber premieres in theaters.
Dude, I remember when Jim Carrey movies were about to come out, how excited you were back then. After Ace Ventura, it was like, holy fuck. And I love a Christmas movie too. I love a movie that comes out around Christmas, so you get to go out with your buddies or your family and go watch it. This one I did not watch with my family, thank God. But I love it. It was a great movie, Steve. So it's the best movie of Jim Carrey's career. Sell me on that.
This is the one that broke him, man. I mean, this is the most quotable, at least out of that trifecta, because it sounds like you don't even think this is the best out of the trifecta.
No, it's not. Ace Ventura 1 is, I mean, it's the one that projected him into superstardom. I got to say
it's
that
not
right
quote
off the
heavy.
bat.
Well, it's his first feature, where he's the star, but it's not quote heavy like this one.
Okay, well,
kick his ass, Seabass. You know exactly what the fuck we're talking about.
I took care of it.
Oh, pretty bird. Oh, pretty bird. You know exactly
movie,
what the fuck we're talking about,
his other movie, Ace Ventura was fucked up in a way, but this movie was fucked up. This really went crazier than his past movies. But The Mask, you didn't even are you saying The Mask is worse than this?
I hate to use the term worse with anything Jim Carrey related.
Yeah, right.
I don't like it as much as Dumb and Dumber. I don't like any of his movies as much as I like Dumb and Dumber. Mortal Kombat was fresh on the scene. There was a dream sequence where he rips the heart out of the chef's chest. And that whole scene, that was very blaxploitation, Bruce Leroy-ish in a way. I mean, Jim Carrey's did that shit.
Also, just like the little jokes that they put in, like when he's just like looking for the chick and he looks at her briefcase and he's like, Samsonite, damn it. Just shit like that. It's just like a throwaway joke almost. I'll give it to you. I'm not saying it's a bad movie at all. I do love it. I love Jeff Daniels in it too. He's fucking hilarious. All the people in this are hilarious. But
yeah,
I'm an Ace Ventura guy, Steve. I love the character. I love the movie. Both of them I think are better than Dumb and Dumber, but is this a bad movie by any means? No, we're splitting hairs.
No, man, this is
90s Jim Carrey. The only person who might be able to touch this, Adam Sandler 90s. Maybe.
Ooh, are we really going to do this today?
I mean,
Matt?
it might have to happen, because if I gotta go back then, Steve, I'm a Sandler guy. I'm fully Sandman all day, every day.
You're saying back in the day, give me a timetable.
I'm talking, I like whenever Opera Man and SNL, through Billy Madison, through Happy Gilmore, through Waterboy, through Big Daddy, through fucking Wedding Singer. I just named 5 fucking movies. All of those were going toe to toe with Jim Carrey comedies. And I got to say, Steve, this is the other reason I say Adam Sandler, the CDs.
I've got a big fucking boner right now.
That were crazy as fuck. Also, just that's why I love him. But Jim Carrey, I'm saying all this and I'm talking shit. And my wife just said Jim Carrey as well, but I'm a little older and wiser than my wife.
You did bring out some heat, though. I'll give you that, Matt. You brought a lot to the table.
That's the only person. I mean, had Chris Farley lived longer and made more movies, he just doesn't have enough. Because that was my guy.
Yeah.
Tommy Boy, Black Sheep, even in Almost Heroes and a Beverly Hills Ninja. I was right there for all of these movies. The Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler, Chris Farley. But Adam Sandler, I got to say, he was in your face more. Maybe because I was just like searching him out more. I don't think Jim Carrey, other than in Living Color, he didn't have like CDs and like singular shit. You know what I mean?
He was one of those comedians who, like, once he got to a certain level, he left that world alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know what? All of that is valid, what you said about Adam Sandler in the 90s. But the fact that Jim Carrey dropped 3 blockbusters all in the same year while being on a popular show in the same year, and he was like heavily used in that final season of In Living Color, man. It's kind of like DMX's 1998. He dropped It's Dark and Hell is Hot and then Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood in the same year, and they both went #1 in 98. And that was unprecedented for a rapper. So it's like, okay, Adam Sandler over the decade, he probably got him stacked, but man, he ain't got no year like James.
Well, and I'll also say, I feel like Adam Sandler then was sort of transformed his career to mirror a Jim Carrey. Because what I think Jim Carrey did is he reached like the pinnacle of comedic acting. The pit where they were just paying him insane shit. Once he made it onto Batman Forever and he was playing Riddler, which was in a dramatic-ish movie, but he was still kind of being a funnier character in it. He made so much money off that he started doing all the serious shit. And eventually that's what Adam Sandler started to do too. So I feel like these guys, their peers, they were probably pushing each other, you know, success wise. They were seeing each other in the rear view in different times of their life and shit. But yeah, I mean, we just gave flowers to 2 guys, but Jim Carrey, like you said, that's a career year in like the Hall of Fame of career years. Like you said, DMX, him, you really can't see a lot of people doing that, especially movies.
Just doing really dope shit all within the same 365 days.
I mean, name an actor who's done that at all, period. 3 hit movies in 1 year.
Well,
I mean, that is insanity.
We did mention Tone Loc was in Blank Check and Ace Ventura in the same year, 94. And they were a week apart.
Really?
Good. So yeah, Tone Loc, man.
Tone Loc was getting it for like he had a year, dude. He had a year where they were just like anything. We need him. We need Tone. Give me Tone.
Man, I'm glad we're having this conversation, man. Because I guess this could be another like versus like what comedian or comedic actor had the best like era. I mean, both of those
Adam
guys.
Sandler, dude. I just like always forget before he was even in movies, really, dude. He had these insane comedy CDs that were songs, they were skits, they were dirty as fuck parental advisory CDs when he was on SNL. So I got into that. He started making those crazy movies like Billy Madison and shit, and everyone loves Happy Gilmore. Once he got there, I mean, he was just making hits. I just remember a period of time every year where I would get to go see a new Adam Sandler movie, and I was always stoked about it. You know what I mean? Even like the more cheesy ones, like A Wedding Singer, go back and watch that. That shit's funny as fuck. So I would love to do a versus about that. I mean, there's a lot of movie shit and like comedy shit I would love to talk to you about, because you have good taste too. It's like, I'm not besmirching Jim Carrey, because like that dude, I mean, like you said, I still remember the night I saw Ace Ventura. I was in a little shitty theater in Pennsylvania with my sister who watched it. And when the hemorrhoid scene came out, she was like, oh my God. And I just remember being like, what did I see? Because I didn't really understand what they were talking about because I was so young. But
right.
I mean, it's just like these guys, there's just like, we were part of a history of like comedic movies that I don't think you're ever going to get that anymore, dude.
No, man, you're not going to replicate the success of the 90s.
And that's all they try to do. And then they try to like push forward. Like there's only like two celebrities. It's like Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson in comedy movies. You know what I mean? Like and everybody else has been like canceled. Like, can't have Seth Rogen in anything because he's friends with like James Franco and shit. It's like, so you guys can't make movies anymore.
What did James Franco do? I'm lost.
He had some allegations, you know.
Oh,
a lot of those type of things, you know.
It's
like, and I don't want to speak too much because I don't know too much about it, but you know, those kind of things are happening, and that kind of like affects a lot of the satellite guys in that world's career. So like,
because he's a part of that branch, yeah.
You know, so
and
who knows, dude? I don't know.
No, and the Hollyweird is a weird, man. I don't know. It's a weird
time.
world.
It's like different. We didn't know anything about celebrities. You just got to watch like a cool movie every year, and we're like, hey, those guys are awesome. You didn't know all this other shit. Or it's like, oh, I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah, I can't look at Kaiser Soze the same now.
All right. I want to watch Seven so bad, but I don't know. American
Beauty, is that like a true story now?
I know, right? Yeah. Was that like, who the fuck? That director's like, God damn, Kevin, I told you.
But yeah, man, Dumb and Dumber though, this was actually Harlan Williams' first film that he acted in, man. Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
dude. There are some moments of this, dude. When the guy dies with the hot peppers and shit, the fucking
that shit was hilarious. But even before that, when they're riding in the car and they start singing, oh my God, like Jim Carrey has this part, and it's only for a second, where he's like, King. Yeah. And then he just gets in the dude's face, bird, yeah. Like the way he just did it with just like his neck twitch. It was like, bird, yeah. And but he was dead ass serious. He was into it. Like, oh, man. Did you know the Corys were considered for these roles?
Really?
Yeah, initially, yeah. But the producer or the company, they thought like, man, their flavor has already expired, man, at this point. Because this was like 93, 92 when it was being developed or whatever. It's like, man, one of them's half dead. What the fuck? And this was the Farrellys' first film.
That's what I was gonna say. This is when like the Farrelly brothers really got like started to hit the stratosphere too, because then they did this, and then I think Something About Mary was after that.
Something About Mary.
And I mean,
and
they have a hidden gem with Jim Carrey called Me, Myself, and Irene, where Jim Carrey plays like a guy with multiple personality disorder. Hilarious. Nobody ever talks about it.
And they didn't even want Jeff Daniels in the movie initially, man.
I mean,
like
that's kind of how it always is, you know. There's somebody end up pushing some guy into it. It's who could you picture being in this other than that dude, you know?
They had a lot of suggestions. They actually had a comedian on standby, like an actual like comedic actor. They didn't say who it was, but like while he's taping his scenes with Jim Carrey, they had a guy just off in the cut because they just really want.
Get Brendan Fraser on the phone right now.
Yeah, what's Pauly Shore doing? But because of James really wanted a serious actor so that he can kind of keep him based. And, it was because of Jim Carrey's urging for the most part, man, that he got the slot. And his agents didn't want him to get the role. Jeff Daniels' agent said that this might be the worst decision of his career. And he's like, you know what? If that's a decision to make, I need to make it.
Man, that's one in hindsight too, where it's like, thank God I did the right thing there, because that could have been, who knows? Because he was already a success. I'm sure he would have continued that, but this shit was, I'm super fucking in everybody's face. Everybody was watching this shit.
Dude, I would have not known who Jeff Daniels was probably if it wasn't for this movie. And I know he was in shit before this, but like, I ain't never seen it.
I mean, I know he's been in some like serious shit, but you're right. Like I can't really. Oh, he was in Speed.
Sure was in '94. Yeah, man. And there's a chick in this movie who goes by the name Shay. I think she was one of the baddies, and she was actually in Blank Check, and her name was Shay. And Jeff Daniels' character had the same name in Speed. M-Dub Facts.
Right, Harry. He did die. He got exploded by what's his face. So
yeah,
wow.
And I hate Speed.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, we watched it, and it is what it is. I think there was just a lot of cocaine. There was a lot of amphetamines floating around Hollywood writing rooms, and shit like Speed got made, Steve. So
once again, if it wasn't for Dumb and Dumber, I would not know who this man was. It's his most successful film, man. And Jim Carrey was actually offered $700,000 for this film, man. But after they saw Ace Ventura, they upped it to $7 million.
God, dude,
that's another bracket,
$7 million, dude, for one thing you're doing. I don't care how long it takes. $7 million, Jim. Just congratulations.
The first actor to have 3 films go straight to #1 in 1 year.
I mean, then it was like him, Will Smith, Adam Sandler. There was like 3 or 4 guys that were just getting put in movies that were getting paid mad money. I know Will Smith was I think he got to like that $40 million mark. Maybe it was after Independence Day, I think. Somewhere after that.
Okay. Oh, Karen Duffy, that's her name. The lady that was in Blank Check. Shay, yeah.
The one that they make out with the kid. Yeah, I remember her. Weird.
Yeah. And Charles Rocket, the guy who killed himself in real life, man. And, he had that whole bit on SNL back in the 80s.
I am lost on that, but Jesus, that's a dark tale.
Yeah, man. But also on that same day in '94, Legends of the Fall premiered in theaters. It looks boring as fuck. Never seen it. I fucks with Brad Pitt, but this shit looks lame as hell.
This is just like a female like Yank movie, dude. Just Brad. I mean, he's supposed to be a cowboy, but he's got like lip gloss on.
You already lost me at cowboy. I don't do cowboy shit. Dude. I never care for none of that shit.
Dude, Tombstone, and I'll tell you, dude, Aaron came down and we watched that Netflix movie with Idris Elba where it's like a black Western movie.
I did like that.
Watch that shit. That movie is dope as fuck.
I watched it. I did. There are exceptions.
It was a black tombstone. That's what I said when I was watching it. I was like, this movie it's got the style, it's got all the characters and shit, but yeah, this looks like some CW like trash where, I mean, is he a vampire? Is he a sexy Viking? I don't know what's going on. Is this Legend of Bagger Vance now?
Yeah, man. This shit looks USA Network as fuck, man, in the afternoon.
What is Brad like? I just know there's got to be a scene where Brad Pitt's like running towards a woman and then they like embrace in the middle of a field somewhere after a long absence. And then they have sex in the rain or something. You know, there's something going on here. This looks like female just porn, like porn for females.
Is that Hannibal Lecter just staring at a fucking farm? What the fuck?
Yeah, dude. This
Norman,
is the problem when it's like a boring Western movie where it's just like a feelings movie, not like a love movie and shit. What am I looking at? Just fucking prairie land and shit.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here, Norman Rockwell landscapes. Yeah. Now, on that same day, 1994, Speechless premiered in theaters, starring Michael Keaton and I don't know her name. They should have called it Viewless because I ain't never watched that shit.
Tonight, catch Jay's special Super Sunday Tonight Show with Jenny McCarthy, Real Party Animals, Shania Twain, and Richard Simmons. In the showers, covering the game. A special Jay tonight.
And now, in 1995, Ren and Stimpy airs the episode A Scooter for Yaksmas. Stimpy believes in Yaksmas, yet Ren, who thinks Yaksmas is stupid, doesn't believe in the festive holiday.
Yeah, he's really a Grinch in this. And we start off and we see
as usual.
What's that?
As usual.
Yeah, I mean, he's an asshole. And he's clearly just living that lifestyle. He's working at, I think, Cobco. It's a factory that makes logs. And they seem to also make like king. sooty snow. They're putting out a lot of pollution, it looks like.
That's a part of the festivities, apparently. Instead of snow like we get for Christmas, they get soot for Yaksmas. And Ren is just eating it up, man. He's in the festive spirit. There are kids making a soot man, throw a soot ball at him, and he's just like, oh, fuck.
They even call him a fat, stupid guy. I mean, that's kind of fucked up. I mean, that's not cool, but still, it's Yaksmas. Just let it go, And
get this, Matt. He gets paid in popsicle sticks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is an analogy for the real American working man, and this just the corporate monster that's not paying us enough to live, Steve. That's what this is. It's a commentary.
I mean, that's what they paid me when I worked at Cedar Point.
Popsicle sticks? Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, man. And I made do with those popsicle sticks, man. Enough to get my PlayStation game or two and, a new shirt for when school comes back around.
But hey, dude, it doesn't matter because it's Yaksmas time. And
it's Yaksmas.
It's full effect. Stimpy's loving it. He's having a great time. He's getting called fat. He's getting called stupid, but he doesn't care because really this is all just so he can get to that day and get that new scooter that he's got his eye on, Steve. The Johnny Future super scooter. And it looks pretty dope, I gotta say. It's pretty shiny.
Yeah, it does just about everything but make you come. And Stimpy wants to make sure Ren gets the message. He leaves a message on the toilet that says, hey, scooter. He has it written all over the toilet paper, scooter, 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 scooter. Ren wipes his ass with all of that toilet paper, and he comes out of the bathroom. It's about 10 pounds lighter.
I mean, Stimpy, he's even giving wordplay, Steve. He's got signage. He's got like Dirk Diggler signs saying scooter above him. And he's even like giving Ren his meal, I think it's chopped liver that's in the shape of a scooter, which is pretty hard to do.
Hey, stupid, hurry up with my supper.
But he's even like, let me scoot that over to you, bud.
Yeah. I mean, was that what it was? It looked like cooking grease in the form of a scooter.
I mean, it looked like some diarrhea, but maybe that's what chopped liver looks like. I don't know. I don't eat that shit.
And I noticed, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's time to put up the Yaksmas Day decorations. which Ren is
Oh,
not a
man.
fan of. He's like, man, fuck all. What is this? A Hallmark card? Fuck all this shit.
I mean,
Damn,
Stimpy's
dude.
he's got the gruel set out, decorated with bathroom, coffee filter floor mat, and dental floss garland. And I noticed that Ren has a fez on his head. That my grandpa has one of those. He was in the
Really?
Elks Lodge. Yeah, man. And it's like, dude, who accepted you, Ren? I really think that you were a fucking poser. You didn't get into the swanky Chihuahua Elks clubs with the Taco Bell Chihuahua. He didn't even know you. Like, you ran into him at the Spud McKenzie funeral one time. Y'all exchanged info, and it was one of those Hollywood, like, yeah, I'll call you. But the Taco Bell Chihuahua doesn't even fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't even tell you about the meeting. You found out from being a fucking Ren, and you just came there, and people were like, man, who invited this motherfucker? Everybody's looking at the Taco Bell Chihuahua, and he's like, man, I don't know this dude, man. Like, so you can't even get in with the fly Chihuahuas, man. You coming in there with your fez hat and fucking smelling like shit. Worse than shit. You smell like fucking Quiznos.
Get him,
And-
Steve.
yeah.
Get him.
And so, yeah, Ren stole that fez hat. He's a poser. He's not really in the fucking group. You can't even, like, Airbud got accepted into the Chihuahua Secret Society, and he's a fucking golden retriever. But because he's Airbud, he had that kind of drip in the 90s.
Dude, Ren has some cachet. You're telling me he doesn't get in over Airbud? He's getting passed over because of Airbud. I mean, come on, Steve.
It's kind of like Robert De Niro in Goodfellas. Even though he wasn't a full-blooded Italian, it was kind of like, okay, we still fuck with you just off your character. There's something about this kid we kind of like. And it was like the same thing with Airbud. It's like, yeah, he's a golden retriever. He's not of our ilk, but I mean, he fucking dunks basketballs and shit, and he's a goddamn dog. So, like, I think we should keep him around. And he got in before fucking Ren with a stolen fez hat. But yeah, sidetrack the fuck Sally. That's on the Lost episodes.
Steve, I mean, you're getting real salty here, and I just want you to calm down because it is Yaksmas season.
But he's not in the spirit. That's why I'm pissed.
Yeah, and he needs to be because Stinky Weasel Tits is coming to town. And that's part of the Yaksmas.
Stinky Wizards. I think we knew a couple of those in Perrysburg.
Yeah, I knew a couple of Stinky Weasels, but and it's Stinky Wizzle Teats actually, and that's actually part of the Yaksmas mythology, Steve. Which after Ren starts hating on everything, we get a little Yaksmas carol, Care of Stimpy. Yeah. That explains this whole insane fucking holiday, which involves Stinky Wizzle Teats, his boy Yak, and really what seems to like they're just coming in, breaking in. They're leaving you some sausage and some chewed up gum, but then they're just like ransacking your house, Steve.
It kind of reminds me of Dragonfly Jones and his assistant. Like Dragonfly Jones is supposed to be the one with the know-how, and his assistant seems to be like the actual sane one with, some goddamn sense, man. And Stinky Wizzle Teeth is a haggard drunk, just like some of my cousins. And just like some of my cousins, Wizzle Teeth needs a lot of assistance. And ironically, Stinky Wizzle Teeth, just like my cousins, get their assistance from Yak. Stinky Wizzle Teeth is assisted by an actual yak who appears to do CrossFit in his spare time. My cousins are usually assisted by Cognac.
Steve, you are a treasure, dude. You are Yaksmas miracle.
I mean, it's true though, man. I got some cousins. They keep some Crevassier on them and some Henny. Shit.
Oh, Yak, dude. I never even put that together, Steve. So salute to you for that. But yeah, I mean, they do very much have that dynamic, except Stinky's not going silence. But
yeah, Stinky's just passed out.
And that's part of the fun, Steve. You wake up the next day to get your presents, your sausages, your chewed up gum, and Stinky's outside passed out on your lawn.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like I lived in Hollywood, Steve. I think Stinky lived in Hollywood where me and Jordan stayed, and I think he passed out on our lawn a couple of times.
Maybe. It's a grueling job. You're in this flying sausage cart with pre-chewed gum. That's even more weight, and you got a spare tire for a heart.
Yeah. So I mean, Ren's not excited. Stimpy is. But Ren should be, because we cut the next day. It's gift giving time, Steve.
Jeez.
It's gift giving time. What does Ren get from Stimpy? A golden statue bejeweled that's of the Queen of England, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what's the importance of that, why he's so goo goo gaga over Queen of England.
I mean, I don't know, Steve. She's a sexual lady. You know, maybe he's into gilf porn or something like that. I don't know.
Man, but what does Stimpy get? It's way smaller in size than Stimpy's gift for him. He got him a Cobco fudge popsicle stick. Get all the way the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I make this. I do this all day. This is just a day's work. And he didn't get what he wanted. And have you ever suffered this, Steve, as a child? Like, you don't get that gift that you've just been dying to get?
Man, you know, I did. Young Steve G was heartbroken. When I was a kid, I wanted My Buddy. I asked my grandma. She was usually the one who presented the gifts. Okay. Can I get a My Buddy? Here comes Christmas. I open up the box. It's a My Buddy, but I didn't think it was, because that My Buddy was black.
You got a black My Buddy? That existed? I got a black.
That was a thing, exactly. And when I said, like, what is this? My grandma said, it's a My Buddy. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, I ain't never seen a commercial for this. They had me at a young age, Matt. They got me, man. I didn't even respect.
Can I ask though? It was like the brand was the same though. This was just
the same brand, option. The same overalls, the same shirt.
Wow.
He just had coarse hair. I
didn't know that was even
skin.
An option, Steve. I thought it was white boy, My Buddy, white chick, kid sister, and that's what you got.
Because that's all you saw in the commercials. And this is before the internet. Yeah.
Well, there you go, Steve. Just another example of just the United States, corporate America, just doing some dirty shit, because that's got to be confusing for your grandma too. Like, I just got you this toy you wanted. You know, was she aware of that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
man, since she's not here with us anymore, man, I can't. That was so long ago. It's one of them things where, like, it doesn't really hit you until you
wild, dude. Yeah. I never even thought of that. I just never thought of that because I'm a white kid. You know what I'm saying? It
plays on the psyche of little kids, man. And
that's
you just
wild.
Like, you don't value it as much, man. It is, man, how it can mess up a kid's head.
Wow. Dude, we went deep. This was a deep conversation all of a sudden, Steve. You were talking about Ren not getting into some sort of chihuahua shit going on and on about that. And then we just went utterly deep into it and just figured out just some fucking racist ass systematic racism the My Buddy Corporation was up to. Yeah,
well, I wanted to find a reason to get my picture in there, man. I forgot it in the opening. So, you know, Stimpy is going ape shit. You know, he returns to the bike shop and he's staring at Johnny's future jet scooter, loses his shit. He's beating on the display case to the point where he breaks the glass and the scooter jet pops out into his fucking hands. And there's somewhat of a old Karen character. She sees this, gets the cops involved, and now Stimpy is on the lam.
He's a thief, Steve. It's all there. I mean, how do you even talk your way out of it at this point? Because he does leave on that shit. He just peels off on it. So he's labeled a thief. He's got to get back to Ren, man. He's got to get back to Ren because Ren's going to be able to help him out. But what happens when he gets home? And Ren's talking to the fucking press. Yeah. And he's like, I didn't know the guy was a thief. Fuck this guy. Fuck him. I mean, that's got to be heartbreaking.
And the world is turning on him, man. And what does he do? He gets the fuck out of Dodge, man. You know, he feels like nobody's hearing his side of the story. So he decides to disguise himself by getting a Mo from Three Stooges haircut and puts on a Scotty 2 Hottie vest and takes off on his scooter. And, you know, he falls asleep on the scooter and hits a big oath. he befriends the big oaf and takes the oaf along for the ride. And Stimpy tells the oaf that he's a CIA agent. And, you know, lo and behold, the oaf realizes that Stimpy is the fucking scooter thief.
The motherfucker. And he demands to be let go immediately because who knows what some scooter thief is going to do.
Yeah. Well, Stimpy has to get the fuck out of there again. And, you know, he crashes into a pole, the West Pole, at the West Pole Motel. And Stinky Whizzleteeth and his CrossFit yak is passed. They're both passed out. And Stimpy sees a present that's supposed to be for him.
Aww.
And man, I knew it. Something went right. I've been a good boy. I deserve what I want.
And, you know, it all just, he thought Ren didn't even remember what he wanted, but turns out he did. This is like Christmas Story, dude. That kid wanted that fucking BB rifle and he thought he didn't get it. Then he got it. Yeah. So what happens?
Yeah. He leaves the bike with Stinky and fucking Yak Ferrigno, and he leaves his he leaves his crumbled up scooter with him. So by the time he leaves, the cops bust into the hotel room, and now fucking Arnold Yak Schwarzenegger and Stinky, now they're accused of the shit. But Stimpy's on the run, man. He's getting the fuck out of there. And, you know, now fucking Stinky and Yaksmith are fucking following him with holes.
I mean, no, they're not. They're arrested, Steve. I mean, he pitted the fucking crime on Stink, and it is Steve. You've been saying Whizzleteeth. It's Stinky Whizzleteets. Oh. So I was kind of half correct. It wasn't Whizzletits because I don't think they could get that through even Nickelodeon at the time probably wouldn't have let that one slide. But Stinky and his juiced up yak, they're going to jail, Steve. And Stimpy's scot-free, and he's got a fucking brand new scooter because his old one was all fucked up from hitting that West Pole Motel sign.
But they did get shot up though. They were full of holes.
Oh, they were full of holes. Yeah,
yeah.
Those fucking West Pole cops, they getting it in, Steve. Fucking don't move. Do not move.
Shit, Karen and cops, man. That's one of the deadliest combinations.
Dude, they knew it. They showed it to you back in the day. They
right there
before the LAPD shit. Because I think they were even trying to send you a message about the LAPD, Steve.
Officer.
Yeah, fuck that chick. But anyway, so Stimpy is now, he gets to go back, and they finally get to celebrate Yaksmas. Him and Ren, him and his boy, and that cherry new scooter he's got. It's basically a blood scooter with fucking stinky weasel tits. I can't say it, Steve. I'm not going to be able to say it.
Maybe they wanted to say weasel tits, and because it was Nickelodeon. So this is probably why this is the last episode on Nickelodeon.
Oh, wow. Was it the last episode?
This was the very last episode that aired on Nickelodeon, and then they revisited it a year later on MTV.
Well, this isn't the end of the episode though, because we do get to like sign off, and like the Yaksmas spirit is all around us. But then we're treated to a couple of fake commercials here, Steve. One for some dog water with Canine 12. And it's the only water made by a dog. And we all know that dogs have the cleanest mouths. I'm sure you've heard.
So I've been told.
And that's what this product gives you. It gives you water served from a dog's mouth. And you can rest, positive that you're not going to, I guess, get a disease other than whatever that dog's got in his mouth. So
it's the perfect mouthwash. Thousands have turned to dog water as a refreshing drink. There are actually a multitude of uses for dog water. You can use it as an adhesive to grow hair, acne cream. It's even used as a fragrance.
I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow had a candle scented from her pussy. I mean, we're only minutes away from dog water actually coming out. So this might be some Nostradamus shit, Steve.
I want me some damn dog water. Then we go to the craft work corner. Stimpy does some kind of like this old house kind of deal where he's refurnishing old things from around the house. He makes a lamp out of a soda, tie, and a cowboy hat, which somehow works. I don't know, can't knock him. It works. He made a fancy jacket for his teddy bear from his mom's chinchilla coat, a disco mirror ball from his grandma's Louis XIV mirror, and his brother's basketball that was signed by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he made a costume out of his mom's wigs. He's going to get his ass beat.
In 2 weeks, the NBA's greatest stars come to Broadway in the show of the year. Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, Grant Hill, Karl Malone, and more. The NBA All-Star Game in prime time, February 8th at 6 p.m. Eastern on NBC.
They're gonna shake and bake.
Now, also on that same day in 1995, Saturday Night Live is airing the episode with musical guest Bush and your host, Madeline Kahn.
Bush more famous than the host, I feel like. Madeline Kahn.
Yeah, I mean, she's a legend in a way, a comedic actress. She's a part of that Mel Brooks camp. You know, she was in, you know, what is it? The Western.
I know what you're talking about, but marijuana affects the memory, Steve.
Yeah.
Blazing Saddles.
And I think she was in Young Frankenstein. And in her opening monologue, she did one of those, they love me so much, they had me come back. And, you know, the joke is like she hadn't hosted since like the original cast in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, like, what the fuck did they bring her on for? But shout out Madeline Kahn. Shout out Gavin Rossdale of Bush. Just swimming in PJ back in the 90s.
But they didn't even do the ones I like. They did Glycerine, which is cool, and they did Coming Down.
And the days go by. Gavin Rossdale, here's something that he doesn't get credit for. He started acting, and whether or not you like the movie or not, there's a movie called Constantine that Keanu Reeves was in, another king of the 90s. It's a comic book movie, but he plays one of the villains in it, and he plays a great villain. I feel like English people automatically, if you got like a villain, you need a classy villain, throw like a nice, handsome Englishman in it. It's going to do you right. It's going to work out well for you.
You just don't like English people, man.
I do like English people, Steve. I do, but I'm just saying, like, and I've complimented English people, so I don't like the naysay that you're throwing at me right now on purpose. I don't like it.
I'll naysay this on me myself. Fuck the Queen of England. I can they say that? How I don't know how that works in England. Are you allowed to say like how we do, like fuck Trump, fuck Bush? You could say that outside. I could step outside and be like, man, fuck George Bush. I mean, can you do that out in public?
I mean, it's just like this thing. It's a figurehead. I like, what's going to happen? You know,
she's a person. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to get to. Like, man, like, do they have that right? I know they're not like fucking.
I don't think it's like a dictatorship or anything where it's like, you fucking besmirch the queen, you're going to get fucking shot immediately on sight. I don't think it's like that.
But will anything happen?
I don't think so. I mean, they have fucking pithy comedy about parliament and shit. It's like they can shit on their politicians. I'm assuming they can shit on royalty. They have to be able to.
They should, because she ugly as fuck, and that needs to be said. Like,
damn, Steve.
Like, how did you? They should have picked. They should have repicked. Like, the queen is not supposed to be looking like that. Like, Princess Diana was the most beautiful thing that ever came into that family. That's why they had her off.
But that's not a blood relation, Steve. That's what I think the look you're seeing is a result of, hundreds of years of just like a bloodline. Exactly. It's like, if you I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, Steve. Okay.
But shout out to my English people. Neither me or Matt are besmirching our people from across the pond.
Look at a Jason Statham, though, Steve. Look at a guy like that.
Badass.
Crikey. Like those hard-nosed guys. Even like, remember Bob Hoskins, who I'm sure is dead?
Super Mario.
Yeah. Remember him? That guy was British, dude. And that guy, I'm telling you, British accent. In either a handsome guy or one of those like gruff snatch looking dudes. those types. I mean, that's what I'm saying. They're like, as far as a villain goes, loved it. Gavin Rossdale exemplifies that, and that's sidetrack Sally for you, because this came from us talking about Bush.
Oh yeah.
And I really was never a huge fan of Bush. I mean, they were there, and I did like we've all like Glycerine and all that shit, but I don't know.
16 Stone.
I'll listen to 311 before I listen to Bush.
Yeah, I was more of a 16 Stone fan than anything. I like Find My Asshole Brother. That was my shit. Mickey Mouse is cut on a cow. Kids kissing the review. He fucking did that shit, man. Shout out to you, man. Gavin.
I know Gavin
fucking
Rossdale,
gangster.
dude. That motherfucker killed it. And he was, a coxman too, famously. So shout out on that regard as well.
But the only thing that really stood out in this episode was the Tim Meadows skit, John Mackey Storm Tracker, ACC UCAS. He's the macho weatherman, John Mackey. He lets storms know who's boss. John Mackey tells a storm, "That's right, bitch. Now go make me a sandwich."
Is that where Tracy Morgan got? Remember, he used to say that to what's his face all the time? Yeah, he used to do that all the time.
And I gotta say, this season is Tim Meadows' breakthrough season too, man. He's been crushing it this whole season up to this point, man.
There was a time where he had to like body that cast though. Like he was the guy for like a while. He was He was just like a hitter in that cast. He doesn't get the respect he does, because if it was, maybe he didn't have a lot of his own sketches other than the Ladies Man.
Yeah.
But he always made you laugh in everybody else's shit too. So even when it wasn't him in the spotlight, which he had to do for a while, he was still killing it. I love me some Tim Meadows, dude.
He was a slow build, man. He kind of came in around the time Farley and Sandler did, man. But it wasn't until like Perspectives and Lady Man in the late 90s, man, after those guys left, that he kind of found his stride.
I love Ladies Man, dude. That's an unsung, like that's one of those classic recurring sketches that I just don't think gets a lot. I don't think people remember it as fondly as I do. Maybe, I don't know. Look at this motherfucker. Give me a sandwich, bitch.
I'm gonna tell that tornado to give me a sandwich. But yeah, man. In 1997, Ice Cube releases the album featuring Ice Cube. It's a compilation of old and new. And I remember this album cover. I never got this album, but like I said, it's a best of, and it features a lot of the stuff he did when he first broke from NWA. Who doesn't love some Don Mega?
Dude.
You always do that better.
Just because Jordan, like, I'll tell you one thing, dude. Jordan made me appreciate Ice Cube. So I used to love Ice Cube, dude. I love Ice Cube from when I was young, before I met Jordan. But that dude, like, just had a knowledge of this guy that made me appreciate him to the point where Ice Cube is my favorite rapper. Like, overall, he's my guy. So I didn't have this, but I'm sure if this was his hits, it's filled with bangers.
Yeah,
filled
for
with
sure. It. You know who probably didn't listen to Ice Cube featuring Ice Cube in 1997 on December 16th, Matthew? Probably Lillian Disney, American illustrator and philanthropist, and also the widow of Walt Disney.
That bitch knew some dark shit. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, she took to the grave.
Yeah, dude.
She was born in 1899, bro. Died in 97. Jesus.
Isn't it wild? Because, dude, I had a grandma that lived like to be 104. She lived to be 104 years old. It's wild to think of those people, especially even if you look at this Disney chick. When did she die?
She died in 97.
She went through from 1900. She saw world wars, like all these things happened. Disney, all movies, telephones. She saw it all and got to the late 90s. I mean, that's got to be, I would hope she remembered it all, but I always like thought that about my grandma. Like, man, it must just be blow you the fuck away to see what's going on right now.
Seriously. Like,
But still,
you
she
went
was
from-
probably into some evil shit, knowing who she was connected to. So I don't want to besmirch the dead, but I'm sure there were some things that lady saw that she probably didn't want to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. But that following year, 1998, South Park is airing the episode Gnomes. A school assignment pairs the boys up with Tweek, a neurotic boy who claims that gnomes are stealing his underwear. Meanwhile, Tweek's father fights against a corporation that is stealing his business.
This is it's a calming episode, Steve. It's like a summer's morning, dew on the grass.
With the metaphors.
But you know, it's just, I forgot about this. I mean, this is like, I had bought a lot of these DVDs and used to watch South Park over like a lot, but I forgot about this one. And Tweek is such a funny fucking character, dude. I love the Carrey and his dad.
Is this episode the introduction of Tweek?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, he might have been in the background, but this is when they started talking to him, you know? It wasn't just a kid in the class. But we start off here in South Park Elementary, and apparently Mr. Garrison's in danger of getting fired, and he's not too happy about it, Steve.
And the kids don't give a fuck. They're actually fine with it.
I'd feel the same way if a teacher like told me this when I was in school. I'd be like, okay, sucks.
I mean, you need to do something about that damn shit. I don't know what to tell you. Most of the teachers, that would have been my response. There's probably one or two I've been like, oh, dude, not you.
Yeah, right. But he's getting fired because he's a shitty teacher. They don't think these kids are learning anything. And I got to be honest, it doesn't seem like they are. And so they have to give a presentation to prove that they've learned something. And it just is like a general presentation, it seems like.
Yeah.
You know, no plan.
It's the Welcome to South Park committee, apparently.
Yeah. And basically, Mr. Garrison's like, if you guys don't do good on this, I'm going to smack you the fuck up. I'm going to smack you in the face, kids. So do a good presentation, make me look good, and let's split up into teams of 5. So Tweek gets put with our guys, the mainstays, and they got to make a presentation about what? I don't know. This would be terrifying to me as a kid, though. Like a presentation where there's no defined like subject. I wouldn't
freestyle.
Like fuck this.
Yeah. Don't leave it up to me. Shit. I'll make the assignment a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and bullshit my way through it.
My assignment was about titties and how good they are. It's like, okay.
Man, and the boys don't even want to be in a group with Tweek because he's a fucking spaz. He's a weird spaz at that.
Yeah, this is where class projects, whenever you got that weird kid in your group, and it's just like, God damn it. But at least Tweek, I mean, Tweek's dad, they got a business. They get like, you can go over to Tweek's and hang out. Maybe his dad seems like a chill dude.
Yeah, he's probably weird too in a different way, as we'll see. The Tweek Bros, that's the company, the family business owned by Mr. Tweek. Yeah, and he's at Tweek Bros, and John Postum from the Harbucks Coffee Corporation comes into the shop, and he wants to buy out the store. Mr. Tweek is not biting. John Postum even offers $500,000. Still no. He only cares about making the greatest coffee, and it's all homemade.
Simpler coffee, Steve, for simpler time.
For simple America.
Makes you think about honey coming out of a dewdrop. Mr. Tweek always has a nice metaphor about how good his coffee is, or about just life in general. And this dong from Harbucks, as he's called later in the episode, he just wants to buy. He's corporate America, Steve. Fuck the little guy. We need to make this Harbucks coffee, and fuck your little simple ass coffee shop, Mr. Tweek. And like you said, Mr. Tweek, even with all this money, this guy has bags of money in his hand. He's not selling.
It's bigger than that,
Steve. That's integrity.
Yeah.
The kind of integrity that comes with a simple cup of Tweek's coffee.
But they really do got his balls in a vice.
Yeah, dude. And the boys also have their balls in a vice because they got to think of a fucking presentation topic, and they don't know what to do. I mean, what again? Like, we got nothing to go off of. And Tweak's like, you know what? We should do a presentation on the underpants gnomes that keep stealing my underpants. And they're like, man, shut up, dude. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, weird kid in class.
And he's like, hey, just come spend the night at my place. You're gonna see for yourself. You're gonna see for yourself. These things are coming out stealing my underpants. And right then and there, I'd be like, I'm not going.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Fuck that. I'm not going.
Yeah.
But they do. They go to Tweaks, and Tweaks, you know, Tweaks' mom and dad, they're having a piping hot cup of Tweaks coffee when the boys come in. And they tell their mom and dad about the presentation. And this sets off a little bell in Mr. Tweaks' head. And he's like, you boys should do a presentation about how corporate America is trying to push out the little guy. And even the mom's like, come on, this is fucked up. Like this, you shouldn't be doing this. These are little kids. And he's like, these little kids might just be the thing we need to get this fucking Harbucks off our back, bitch.
Yeah, we could either do that or put Tweak in slavery.
And honestly, judging from the spastic nature of this guy, I don't know if he's a crack baby or what the deal is, if he got into their stash, but I wouldn't want the kid around. I'd be like, hey, you know.
They really do have my balls in a salad shooter.
And
they offer kids coffee.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is when it gets weird because clearly these people have been giving Tweak coffee because they just offer the coffee up to the kids. And as another parent, I'd be like, what the fuck, dude? You can't do this. You're giving my kids drugs.
Yeah, but they drink the shit even though it tastes kind of bitter. But when they get their kick in, they stay up and they're bouncing off the walls.
It's like when you got Mountain Dew at a sleepover, Steve. You're just like, you guys want to start a business? You guys want to start a fucking business together? Like Mario Brothers, Yoshi.
Dude, let's make a board game where Power Rangers are fighting fucking Super Mario Brothers, bro. Fucking like, oh man.
I just need to take a walk, okay?
Ain't got any more Mountain Dew?
You guys just tell, you're my mom, okay? You're my mom, okay? You're my mom. Everything's gonna be okay. I mean, can you call me my mom? Is that okay?
Dude, what if Tevin Campbell joined Crisscross?
Didn't. It's like a different kind of Boogie Nights, Steve. This is the childlike version where it's just like, you know, this is when it's all good, but cut to 3 a.m. and now they're just puking up coffee. They're just hurting. Everybody's
coming
just
down,
crashing hard.
Yeah. Cartman is throwing up on himself. And, you know, Mr. Tweak comes in and he already has the report prepared for the guys. He's like, yeah, I picked up a little something overnight. And it's not going to be about no gnomes taking draws. It's going to be about Big Bake take a little bank. I mean, the boys are like, oh, shit, we ain't got else going. We ain't got anything else going on.
Dude, if you were in a class project, and a fucking parent came in and was like, hey, I got this paper already written up for you guys. If you guys just want to use this instead, I'd be like, done.
Yeah.
See, what do I need to know here? What's my part? Can I just do the intro? Everybody else, we're good here? Like,
and probably wouldn't even read it. It's like, oh shit, it's done. It's a thing. Yeah.
So they give, you know, but as they're doing this, as he's giving them this and explaining the report and everything, Tweak's like, man, what the fuck, man? And these little underpants gnomes come in and they're singing a song. They are taking his underpants. So this shit's going on. Maybe it's a coffee hallucination. I've been there. I've drinking a lot of coffee. I've drinking a lot of coffee today, Steve, but I've never seen gnomes. You know, they're there.
And neither did Stan, Kyle, Kenny, or Cartman. Tweak is the
dad.
Only one.
Or the dad. Like the adult, be like, what the fuck? You know?
No. So he's freaking out. Like, they're coming after me. I wish they'd leave me alone. Soon they'll want my blood.
And then we cut to the next day, and the boys actually are reading that report to the judges. And Mr. Garrison can tell, because I mean, you know, we've all been there. You get a little too fucking ballsy with these reports, and then you start saying these big words, and then your teacher's like, you didn't write this, motherfucker.
Yeah. You're struggling trying to say the shit. Like, no.
You use the word dissertation 3 times. You don't even know how to spell that shit, you know? So he's on to him. But everybody else is like, this makes complete sense. Oh my God.
This is profound.
Yeah. But Mr. Garrison, again, he's like, okay. And he comes up and he's like, I know you boys didn't fucking write this shit, but you got to give this, like, there's something happens where they have to give it to like an upper echelon of judges or something, right?
Well, you know, they're speaking in front of the Welcome South Park committee. And after their little thesis or report or whatever, they're just so enamored with what they just heard. So they suggest, hey, let's move this on to the mayor. So they go to the mayor's office and she's eating it up. They're like, oh man, we're going to get you on public access television for the town meeting. Yeah. And now while they're talking about this, one of the mayor's assistants gets his drawers taken off while he's standing there. And still, the only person that sees these fucking gnomes taking draws is Tweak.
And I mean, he's losing it. And also across town, Mr. Tweak, he's still getting harassed by this twat from Harbucks, right? And he's still like, I'm not giving in to you corporate greed heads. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to treat this like a nice, good cup of Tweak's coffee. It's like a dewdrop on a mountaintop. Sunrise.
They really have my balls in a juice maker.
But so he's getting it, but he's still unfazed. He's like, I got this little scheme going with these kids. Maybe I'll push you guys out. And the kids, like you said, they've actually had the mayor, who's on board with their protest too, create a prop called Prop 10, which Prop is 10, to eliminate big companies from coming into South Park and pushing them out with their delicious coffee and their great prices. So that's where the boys have to go speak at this. It's basically a speech to the town to vote on Prop 10. And Mr. Garrison's like, you boys fuck this up, I'm going to slap you in the fucking teeth. You know, he's really putting the fucking screws to him. And that's a little scary, but I mean, they've this is their own making, you know, they've created this situation by taking this fucking plan from Mr. Tweak, this little paper. They fucked up. They're in too
cheating
deep.
On the test.
They're in too deep.
But none of this would have happened if Mr. Garrison wasn't a shitty teacher.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And they, you know, I'm trying to think. Oh, okay. So other than Mr. Garrison threatening him, he does say Mr. Hat's going to do terrible things to them if they don't succeed in fooling the town that he's a good teacher. So cut to the debate. This is actually on TV. And it's basically the boys versus Mr. Harbucks, Daddy Harbucks, if you will. Yeah. And the town is just on board with this protest, so much so that even when like the Harbucks guy starts talking, they just start hissing at the guy. Yes. Yeah.
It's very biased.
Yeah. It doesn't look like he's going to win this debate, Steve.
Yeah. He's even introduced as a big, fat, smelly corporate guy from New York, and he gets booed. And he's like, hey, I'm not fat or smelly. All right, Mr. Douchebag. And then he says some more shit, and he's like, pardon me, Mr. Assface.
I was going to say, they do call him Mr. Assface. And then they show this video that's like a Sarah McLachlan puppy adoption video, but about big corporations stealing middle America and like small businesses. And basically the end of the commercial is like, if you don't like small businesses, that means you hate children. You don't hate children, do you? And then it just shows like kids burning alive. So, I mean, how could you argue against Prop 10 at this point?
Yeah, vote yes on Prop 10 or else you hate children.
It's like, but I mean, again, everybody, I'm assuming Tweak's coffee is that shit, Steve, because Mr. Tweak can't stop talking about it. He can't stop living that lifestyle. And now it seems like he is going to be able to push the corporations out. So much so that when we cut to what I believe is nighttime, the Harbucks guy, AKA Johnny Douchebag, is actually, he's ready to just pull up stakes. He says, you know what? Yeah. This ain't going to work out. Let's get out of here, boys. And I forget, like Emilio or somebody's like,
but what will become of us?
Oh, quit being so melodramatic, Sanchez. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so, you know, they get set up to get out of town, man. And they're planning for this little prop thing, and they're trying to decide who the band, like what band's going to play, and somehow they come up with Toto.
Yep. Who doesn't like, dude, I gotta say, on the radio, I think Weezer has like that Africa like reboot song or whatever, or like cover song. I am sick of Toto. So fuck Toto,
Wow.
Steve.
Damn.
I miss the rains down in Africa. What, dude?
That shit does
80s
slap
is
though. I'm not gonna lie to
insane.
you. That is my jam.
I mean, it does slap, but it's at the same time like
Hated it.
I don't need to hear it on the radio now every time I turn my car on. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. Good.
And now, yeah, fuck Toto then, man. And like you fucking up my homie's playlist. And the boys now have to do a 5-minute speech. And you know, while they're trying to strategize about the speech, once again, the Underpants Gnomes walk into the bedroom and Tweek immediately calls attention to him. But this time, the other boys are seeing them as well, watching them walk out with the last of Tweek's draws. But one of the gnomes stays behind and stares at the boys as Cartman approaches it and hits it on the head with a stick. And the gnome says, "Is that all you got, pussy?"
Yeah, David the Gnome definitely coming in a little hotter than I remember from the Nickelodeon show. But he's an underpants gnome, and they're like intrigued by that. Obviously, there's gnomes. Does this mean God exists, Steve? I don't know, but they want to know where this guy's coming from. And this gnome's very accommodating. He's like, "I'll take you back to my tree. Come on."
Yeah. It's big business. They're like, "What business? Oh, you know about business? Okay." So they take him into a fucking tree. He takes him into a tree, and I guess this is the underpants heap.
This is the Mecca, Steve. This is
the Mecca.
This is the goddamn vault, because this is big business. Apparently, these gnomes.
The Silicon Valley of underpants.
This is it. This is the Silk Road or whatever that fucking, dark web shit is. This is it. This is where all the stolen underpants go, and they have a business plan. I mean, these kids should write a book. These gnomes write a book, have a YouTube channel, because they have it down to 3 phases, Steve. Phase 1, steal underpants. Phase 2, we'll get to that later. But phase 3, profit.
I'm rich, bitch!
And that's where we all want to see. So they've got this down to a sweet science.
That's all that matters. It's a 3-part process where you really ain't even got to do all 3.
Yeah. I don't need to know anything else. Let me invest, underpants gnomes. But these guys are stealing underpants. But as they're going through the explanation, one of these fucking gnomes, there's so much money and swag in this cave. They hit something, they kill Kenny.
You bastards.
Son of a bitch.
Falls on his head, man. But they don't even care. They're more drawn into this whole underworld of draw stealing and things of that nature.
So you're making money.
Yeah, so you're still making money off some whitey tighties, right?
Yeah, I mean, and so basically now they're kind of confused because Tweek's dad's saying big corporations no. These gnomes are saying big corporations, hell yes. A resounding hell yes, Steve.
But the boys have a coming to Jesus moment and keep it real with them all and just say, you know what? Big corporations actually have a purpose. If it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't have cars the way we do, computers, or canned soup. And the people of South Park don't like what they're hearing, so they boo them motherfuckers. And also, the boys come clean about the whole report not even being theirs. They plagiarized the shit. It was written by Mr. Tweek.
And Mr. Garrison is then literally pulled out of he's pulled away by Bar Brady and Stan's dad, and it looks like he's being arrested for crimes. I didn't know being a shitty teacher was a crime, Steve. I got a lot of people I need arrested. Okay,
you and me both, pal. And they actually try Harbucks coffee, and it's actually good.
Yeah, one person's like, "This doesn't taste like raw sewage. What? This isn't burnt." This is great. And even Mr. Tweek has to admit, maybe this is better than my coffee. And the Harbucks guy's like, you know what, dude? We're going to need somebody to run this place. So rehired, raise. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Mr. Tweak's fully in. Now he's fully ingratiated into big business, and he doesn't have to put his son in indentured servitude. So that's great. That's a pretty big.
It's always a plus.
It's a miracle, Steve. It's a Christmas miracle, which is what this episode's all about. Actually, it's not, because we have one more episode before Christmas. But, I got to say, I'm glad that the underpants gnomes aren't real, because I need these underpants, Steve. I don't want to be.
I love you guys.
Commando.
I would like to find somebody like, hey, man, let's send it to this girl's house. Man, I give you the address, man. You got Waze, you got GPS. I just been wondering what her shit smell like.
Well, there you go, Steve. Shared a
Gotta
little
find
too
some
much.
use. Wow. I'm not a panty collector, boys and girls. I'm not.
I never got
buy pictures of
and
feet.
I gotta say, I'm glad to hear that, Steve, because I'd be a little scared. I'd be a little miffed if you were. But to any of those panty stealers out there, shame on you, okay?
But if Portia Williams' panties just happened to be in the area, it was like, oh, why are those on the ground?
Yeah.
Oh, and
I might have to.
Oh, I just happened to.
Piece of
somehow
candy.
my nose just happened to hit those draws. I don't know why they're just laying on the ground, but shit.
You're one of those people that walks into Target. They're like, you need a face mask. And you're like, oh, here's some used panties on my face. You're that guy, Steve. You're that guy.
Totally. And man, I missed the opportunity to talk about Merry Christmas, Charles Manson. That was their previous episode, South Park. I could have at least mentioned it in the callbacks or whatever. But speaking of which, any callbacks, honorable mentions, takeaways?
I just gotta, as we were talking about being weed veterans, and I just gotta say shout out. That's my callback, and shout out to everybody this Christmas season. Just have a great green Christmas. You know what I'm saying? To all those actual heads out there that aren't here doing dabs and hitting 10-foot bongs, that are living that real functional weed lifestyle. Salute to you guys. Welcome to the
being
club.
Great and being an exception to the rule.
Exactly. Live that. See, that's the thing. When nobody knows, you're doing it right. You know what I'm saying? If you walk around, nobody's like, hey, you're not walking around with like blonde dreads and with saying fucking like just reeking like we used to, Steve. We used to walk around.
Far out, man.
Yeah. Don't do that. Just be cool. Just be Fonzie and you're going to do great.
Dude, you ever put gummy worms in your burgers when you cook them, bro? Dude, you're on the clock, right?
Your hand's on the grill right now, kid. Chill out.
Jesus.
What about you, Steve? Any callbacks? Any takeaways?
Man,
Apologies?
as the weeks go by, the episode selection gets harder and harder. There were some really good Frasers that happened on this day, some really good In Living Colors that happened on this day in the 90s. In 1990, In Living Color is airing episode 24. It has 3 champs and a little lady. It has Keenan Ivory Wayans playing Mike Tyson, David Allen Greer playing Muhammad Ali, and Tommy Davidson playing Sugar Ray Leonard. And comedic gold, man. It also has the Good Behavior Variety Hour, where they're doing like a talent show in jail. And David Allen Greer is supposed to be doing a reenactment of sorts. And Kelly Caulfield is like the bailiff or whatever, the parolee or some shit. And over time, David Allen Greer just starts hitting on her because he's an inmate. He's like, oh, you got some really big breasts. It's just like whenever he does that like crazy character talking about breasts, is like, oh my God. Yeah. And once again, Saved by the Bell has another episode on Sunday, and this one is Breaking Up Is Hard to Do, which I think is probably more popular than the Rod Belding episode. They're both classics, but this is the one where they break up with their respective girlfriends. And by the end of the episode, they make good because AC wanted to go to the Raiders game. Fucking Batty, what's her tits? Fucking Jessie, she wanted to go to the ballet. And so they make good. AC comes into the fucking Max wearing a fucking tutu and shit. Does his whole. You remember that one?
Yeah, hell yeah.
And some of the scenes from this are used in the opening credits, which
I mean, shout out to AC with those ballerina-esque is it ballerino if you're a dude?
I'm not sure. Ballerine bro. And in 1994, Hanging with Mr. Cooper is airing the episode Christmas Show, and that one has Alfie from My Brother and Me. He was kind of
dude.
Yeah, he hit the sitcom circuit back in the day, man. In 1998, The Nanny has the Hanukkah story, and there's a cameo with Ray Charles. He's in the opening scene, and he does like a little Christmas scene in the end of the episode, man. But yeah, dude. I also want to address Bob Barker. I said this previously on another episode, and I didn't have facts as to why he's a piece of shit.
Okay.
Now, yeah, one of the Price is Right girls, she had a tell-all, but like more important than that shit, Bob Barker does business with jails. The Bob Barker Company provides jails, prisons, mental health, homeless shelters, and juvenile facilities with the supplies they need to stay healthy, which I don't know. Depending on your perspective, I guess that could be good. But if you have a
prison
company,
industrial complex, Steve,
pretty much.
Bob Barker. I mean, people living that long, Steve. There's something going on. He's in there. I don't know. I didn't know that, and I thought he was just trying to spay and neuter pets. That's all I thought. But
he's trying to keep inmates spayed and neutered too. But yeah, man, that's everything. December 16th in the 90s. Please make sure to check out Over the Culture as well as Crushgasm as well as B3F Podcast. This is Steve G and Matt G. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell your favorite auntie that we got them candy yams.